Good evening. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You may be seated. It's indeed an honor and a privilege to welcome leaders of the Jewish faith to the White House this evening. Um, it's always an honor to have men and women leaders from any religious faith here at the White House. Under my administration, that door is open. That door is open. I come to you tonight to talk to you about the events of the last week. Early last Saturday morning, as I was preparing for a trip up to Iowa, got a call from the National Security Advisor telling me of the situation that was unfolding in Israel and what a barbaric situation it was. Terrible. And you just think about what has happened there in the course of the last week. And you think about the terrorists, and we'll call them terrorists, these Hamas terrorists, the harm they did to the Israelis. It's just unimaginable. You know, I know that many of you are personally impacted by what's happened in Israel. You know, there are thousands of dual citizens, maybe some of your relatives, and are a dual citizen as well. On behalf of our administration, I want to tell you how much we have worked to try to defeat anti-Semitism in this country. And I apologize. You know, like I said, I've been on the phone around the clock. I apologize for being so late here this evening, but it's been constant meetings about what's going on in Israel. You know, one of the things I just told you about how I found out about it last Saturday on the trip up to Iowa. Every morning, and believe this or not, every morning at 5:30 a.m., I have on my schedule what's called foreign leader call time. And that's typically a morning that or time in the morning where I get to make phone calls to world leaders to get updates what's going on and anything that's happening between our two countries. I can tell you ever since Sunday morning in Iowa and ever since Saturday morning, actually since Saturday morning on the trip up through Sunday, through Monday, I've been on the phone with Prime Minister Netanyahu. You know, I've been on the phone around the clock with our friends around the world. Quite frankly, discussing what's going on in Israel. And I want you to know that I want to thank you as well for all of you as well for working the work you're doing to bring comfort and in this moment of grief for those of you who are grieving as well. And you know, read this weekend in synagogue, the Torah teaches us that God made the stars to, quote, give light on the earth and separate light from darkness. Give light on earth and separate light from darkness. You know, it's been hard to find that light during the darkness of the past few days. When terrorist groups like Hamas brought not only terror, but sheer evil to the world that echoes the worst and matches, in some cases, exceeds the worst atrocities of ISIS. More than 1,000 civilians slaughtered in Israel. And by the way, I've been speaking with a number of Israeli leaders, a number of leaders around the world, leaders in religion as well. And you know, among those who've been victimized, this evil, who have been killed are at least 22 American citizens. This attack was a campaign of pure cruelty, not just hate, but pure cruelty against the Jewish people. And I would argue it's the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust. The deadliest day since the Holocaust. One of the worst chapters in human history that reminded us all that the expression I've learned early in my life, silence is complicity. And I mean that. Silence is complicity. It really is. And I want you to know, I think you've already figured it out. I refuse to be silent. And I want you to know, I refuse to be silent as well on this issue. I come to this podium almost every day this week to talk about the situation in Israel and how 100% my administration and how 100% this country is behind Israel. You know, you're here with my senior staff. You all represent a voice that America has to hear. America cannot be silent. We will not only reject terrorism, but it goes beyond that. It goes beyond rejecting terrorism. You know, I spoke with the Prime Minister Netanyahu for, I don't know how many times this week. It's probably been every day this week. And again, I did it early again this morning. And already we're surging additional military assistance to the Israeli Defense Force, including ammunition, interceptors to replenish the Iron Dome. And we have moved a U.S. carrier fleet to the Eastern Mediterranean. And we're sending more fighter jets into that region. We made it clear. We made it clear to the Iranians, be careful. We want to make that clear to the Iranians, be careful. We're working on every aspect of the hostage crisis in Israel, including deploying experts to advise and assist with recovery efforts. Now, the press are going to shout out to me, and many of you are, that you know what are you doing to bring these guys, get these folks back home. And if I told you, it wouldn't be happening. I wouldn't be able to do it. There's a lot we're doing. I have not given up hope on bringing these folks home. But the idea that I'm going to stand here before you and tell you what I'm doing is bizarre. So I hope you understand how bizarre I think it would be to try to answer that question. In the days ahead, we're going to continue to work closely with our partners in Israel and around the world to ensure Israel has what it needs to defend its citizens, its cities, and respond to these attacks. As I said this week, my commitment to Israeli security and safety of the Jewish people is unshakable. The United States has Israel's back, and I have yours as well, both at home and abroad. You know, you can see the pain in some of your faces. As I walked into this room this evening, you could see it. Well, your fear for family, friends back in Israel. You worry about the kids being targeted in school, about going about their daily lives. You're hurt by the downplaying of Hamas atrocities and blaming Israel. This is unconscionable. And I have asked members of my team, including my Homeland Security advisor and Attorney General, to work intensely with our Jewish community partners so that many of you here to set up security around Jewish life in America, identify, prevent, and disrupt emerging threats that occur only. We're also going to continue to condemn and combat anti-Semitism at every single turn, the past few days, it's been a solemn reminder that hate never goes away. You'll hold on just a second. I used to think you could defeat hate, and I really did. I thought you could really defeat hate. All it does is go underground. It just does not go away. It just goes underground. It only hides until it's given a little oxygen, a little bit of oxygen. And that's why we've secured the largest ever increase in funding for the physical security for nonprofits, including synagogues, Jewish community centers, Jewish day schools. And in May, I released the first ever national strategy to counter anti-Semitism with the input from many of you in this room. Many of you in this room helped write that. It's the most ambitious, comprehensive effort to anti-Semitism in American history. In all of American history, and we're aggressively implementing it, but we all must do our part and forcibly speak out against anti-Semitism and push back against the attempts to deny or destroy the facts. To make clear, there is no place for hate in America. There is no place for hate in this country. There is no place for hate against Muslims, Jews, anybody. And we mourn an act that you and so many leaders have across the country been showing us, what thousands of years of Jewish history has shown us. The endearing strength, and I mean this sincerely, the endearing strength and spirit of the Jewish community, if you'll excuse me for a point of personal privilege. You know, they used to say years ago back in Congress, that years ago, one thing that one at a time, I would put them on the airplane, would be friends of mine and family members, and took them to Dacha. I wanted them to see what you could not know what was going on. Walking through these gates, you could not fail to understand as a country what was going on. And that's a fact. It had a profound impact on my family, and it really did. It really had a profound impact on my family. It's important you know the miracle of Israel. Israel is Israel itself. The hope it inspires, the light it inspires to the world. And folks, I was asked to, in one of my many very frank conversations with Bibi and Herzog, said, why do I feel so deeply about this? It's not about the region. I truly believe were there no Israel, no Jew in the world would be ultimately safe. It's the only ultimate guarantee, the only ultimate guarantee, the only ultimate guarantee. And folks, because of you, and I mean this sincerely, because of you speaking up, because of this intensity and the intellect and the brilliance you bring to this cause, I think we have a chance to end this in a way that it makes it very difficult for it to be repeated. I want to thank you for your leadership. And as I said, there's a lot to talk about. And I'm really quite frankly concerned as to it's hard to talk about this without detail, and it's contrary to our interests. But let's let out the detail of what we're really doing behind the scenes. I mean, it's just around the clock, as you understand fully. But I've known Bibi for a long time, and we have had a very frank relationship. I've known him very well. And the one thing that I did say that is really important, that Israel, with all the anger and frustration, and I don't know how to explain it. It exists, is what they operate by, the rules of war, the rules of war. And there are the rules of war. And I believe Israel is going to do everything in its power to pull the country together, stay on the same page, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure Israel succeeds and, God willing, bring home those Americans who are in harm's way. I'm going to let you all have the private conversation you've been having, which you should continue to have. But I just came by to basically, and I really meant this from the bottom of my heart, I give you my word. I thank you for your intensity. I thank you for your support. It matters. It really matters. It matters that Americans see what's happening. It really does. And I want you to know that I've said this time and time again since Saturday morning, actually on the streets of Des Moines, Iowa. The United States, the Rogers administration is 100% behind Israel. The Rogers administration has your back. Ladies and gentlemen, we will defeat this evil. The world will defeat this evil. Israel will defeat this evil. I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you this Friday evening. Thank you for the invitation to drop by very quickly and talk to you about my thoughts and views on this week. And I just, I think about this, and I was telling somebody this earlier today. It's hard to imagine that these young Hamas fighters, and they're young. And I was thinking about when they were young kids, what got them into the mindset that they wanted to go out and destroy Jews, kill Jews, basically eliminate Jews from the planet? What's the mindset behind that? What got them to that point? And it brings back one of the things that my administration has been working hard on here in our country, and that is mental health funding. Is there something that we're missing that's causing our youth to go astray? Not only in Israel, but every country, even here in the United States. What can we do to stop this senseless violence? What can we do? I pledge to you, as long as this administration is in power, we will do what we can to bring this senseless violence to an end, and do what we can to get help to those who need help, and do what we can to eliminate terror from this planet. Thank you very much. May God bless you all. Thank you.